All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. It is Sunday, June 8th. We've got a full MLB slate to dive into in today's video like we always do. I'm going to dive into each and every one of these games. I'll give you my prediction on the side. I'll give you my prediction on the total. We'll talk about any other plays like player props that we like within the game as well. But as always, guys, keep an eye down on the pinned comment of this video. That'll take you to all of my final plays, so I'm actually rolling with myself. If that does interest you, if you do want to fade me, all that free down in the pinned comment. All right, YouTube, how you doing? Welcome back to the channel. I tell you guys I'm a dummy all the time. They don't suck. They've just been sucking. Get them down to -3 for more juice than Jose Canseco in his prime. Tell me you're new without telling me you're new. So don't go jumping down my throat in the comments, right? If you want to fade me, or if you do want to ride me, this still leaves a bad taste in my mouth, right? And remember, more chins, more wins. In terms of yesterday, we had to fight tooth and nail to come out that much on top. There we go, 4-3. A couple of our losses were half-unit plays, which kind of stinks because, yeah, we only had 2 half-unit winners, but we did have the quarter unit on the Royals and White Sox first 5 under, as well as that late game, the Padres and Brewers. We trusted our model there, even though the number seemed a little bit off. We trusted it, had a third of a unit on that one, so a 4-3 night. And you know what? We can keep celebrating, pumping some crowd noise here for Ralph. A new ride of the day venture begins. The Astros and Guards, Nerfy, cash it. That one comes through. Yes, Bars cashed 2 days ago, but didn't get a pick in on time. So Bars, if you're watching this, we weren't able to ride with you yesterday. Hopefully we can jump on board at some point, but now we are riding with Ralph here. If you guys don't know what the ride of the day is, it is simple. Just use that hashtag ride of the day, or ROTD, down in the comments. Gotta use the hashtag. I see a lot of people typing out ride of the day. We search with the hashtag. So use that hashtag down in the comments. Give me your favorite play of the day. I jump on board with one person's play each and every day. Give you a shout out in the next video, win or loss. Now, if you win, and we're tracking it now, if you win, we do continue to ride with your play. So looking forward to seeing what Ralph throws at us today. And make sure we're getting these plays in, you know, right around maybe 12, 1 o'clock Eastern time, because we want to allow the community to have some time to ride with the play. So when I say, oh, you didn't get it in on time and whatnot, it's because you were a little late. So get those hashtag ride of the days down in the comments. Looking forward to seeing what Ralph rolls with today. But that's a perfect example. Even when we're riding with someone, why you still should put the ride of the day, because what if we need to jump on board with someone else, right? Boom. Ralph was ready to go. So get those hashtag ride of the days or ROTDs down in the comments. But all right, what do you say we go ahead and dive into today's slate, guys? Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button as well. Act like that like button is a meatball right down the middle that you're putting over the fence, all right? Let's go ahead and jump into game number 1. Tampa Bay taking on Miami. We have Drew Rasmussen on the mound going up against Antonio Venzanio. Probably not saying that correctly, but I think it's actually Anthony, now that I think about it. In fact, we can fact check. Yeah, Anthony, not Antonio, but Antonio's a cooler name. He's a reliever, right? So I don't necessarily know exactly what we'll get out of him. His numbers on the season aren't all that great either. 1.53 whip, 4.58 ERA. Nothing all that crazy, right? Only in 17 innings of work. Going up against Drew Rasmussen, who obviously has the starting pitching advantage, but also hasn't allowed a run in 4 straight starts. He's gone, I think it's 23 straight innings of no-run baseball. Texas, Minnesota, Toronto, and this Miami team, right, when they were in Miami, were those 4 competitors there and opponents. So I do like the idea of Rasmussen continuing to pitch well and doing his thing against this squad. So I'll lean towards Tampa Bay, maybe on the first 5 run line, but it's still going to be pretty juiced. In terms of the total, given the fact that we have, you know, the weather, the ballpark, and a bullpen arm on the other side of things, I think I'm going to have to lean towards the over in this one. So Tampa Bay and the over, but unfortunately, we might be priced out of a couple of those spots. Milwaukee taking on San Diego. We cashed the under with this one yesterday, and I might be going right back to that. Again, our model loves the under in this one, and it does make sense. You have San Diego, who's struggling to score runs, Milwaukee, who has been super inconsistent. So, yeah, neither one of these offenses is absolutely cruising, right? And on the mound, you have Freddie Peralta, who should be pretty good here at home, and he has some good numbers against his San Diego roster. 52 plate appearances against these guys, 38.5% K rate to 3.8% walk rate, average against of 200, and an expected WOBA against of 283. So pretty good stuff, right? And it makes sense. The San Diego team has very much been struggling. They're ranked 17th against the fastball so far in the last 30 days, against the changeup 23rd. Those are the 2 pitches we'll see from Freddie P. On the other side, we have Ryan Berger, who only has the 1 start under his belt on the season. I don't think it was all that bad of a start. I mean, for what you're getting out of him, 5 innings pitched, 2 earned runs. He did only have, 2 strikeouts, I think 2 walks, let up that home run. It was against San Francisco. But again, I don't really think that this is all that bad of a spot from him. He pitched, I think it was like 5 innings or 4 innings out of the bullpen prior to, made his start, kind of went deep into the game. And he pitches the fastball and slider, which should also be 2 decent pitches, I guess you could say, against this squad, right? 19th in terms of the slider is Milwaukee, 15th against the fastball. So, yeah, the model likes the under again, and I almost want to trust it. You have a bullpen on the Milwaukee side of things that I do kind of worry about, and I do think the San Diego offense at some point will step it up, you know what I mean? So maybe this is a first 5 look. That might be the better move. But yeah, if we can get first 5 under 4.5 for decent odds, which, in fact, let's see what we can get here. First 5, we're looking at under 4.5 for minus 118. Even under 5, maybe we go under 5 for minus 146. That might be the move. I think that both these pitchers can kind of hold their own, and even if they don't, it's not like the Padres have been hitting well or the Brewers consistently. So yeah, this could be a 3-2 push at the end of 5, and we definitely had our chance to hit. In terms of a side, I'd have to trust Freddie Peralta, and what I would say has the higher ceiling bats right now, which is crazy to say. Looking at that San Diego offense and saying that Milwaukee has a higher ceiling right now is absolutely ludicrous, but it's kind of the case. I really can't trust San Diego's bats right now. All right, Washington taking on Texas. This is one where I'm kind of caught on the fence, to be honest. First off, we do have some, I guess, crappy weather. It's raining, but I think it's going to be pretty humid and windy, and which could contribute more runs, you know what I mean, attribute to more runs. So, but this is what I'm confused about. Trevor Williams on the mound, who he's kind of a pitcher that, to be completely honest, kind of confuses me right off the rip, right? We've seen him look really, really good, but then there's so many times in which he just blows up. And he's had more of that, I would say, this year than the good starts, right? Absolutely phenomenal against righty bats, though, which there is a decent amount of righty bats here in this Texas lineup. Jacob Latz is the pitcher for Texas here. 29-year-old. I think he's only pitched in the this year out of the bullpen. But he's got decent numbers, 2.9 ERA. The whip is a little high at 1.42, so that could be tough. But he hasn't let up a run, in those limited minutes, in those limited innings out of the bullpen in like 5 straight outings. So maybe this is a spot in which, he is kind of hitting his stride. He's going up against Washington, who I don't necessarily think is the most consistent offense. Now, I think that they are a decent enough offense, right? We talk about it all the time, but they have the names, but they're more of like this power team that maybe they're not going to hit for average, but they'll have these games and these swings in which they go out there and hit well. They're going to see a lot of sliders today, which is the pitch that they hit well, but a lot of fastballs, the pitch not necessarily one of their favorites. On the other side of things, T-Dub, Trevor Williams, fastball, he's going to throw the slider. Both those pitches Texas struggles against. So I think I look at Washington here just because they're plus money. I don't like the bullpen. Don't know if I trust Trevor Williams, but I do think they might be in a better offensive situation going up against a bullpen arm to start the game. Texas's bullpen is not even like a bad bullpen, but they're kind of one of those wishy-washy ones where they're not just to go out there and shut things down type of a bullpen either, which is good for us in this case if we do like Washington. So yeah, they got, they got shut out yesterday. No runs scored. Maybe they bounce back with a little bit today, right? So yeah, I'm going to go with Washington. I guess in terms of a total, I'm going to lean slightly to the over. I know I mentioned the rain, but like I said, it's going to be really hot. I think it's like 75 degrees, some humid air. I think we should see some extra runs here, even if it is sprinkling a little bit. If it's pouring and you guys, you're in the area and it's pouring, then take away what I said about the over. It still doesn't really change what I said about Washington. I think that this could be, if it rains, could help Trevor Williams out. All right, guys, real quick before we do move on with the rest of the game, Sleeper hooking you guys up with a free square tonight for game number 2 of the NBA Finals, SGA 0.5 points. You're also going to get your first deposit matched up to $100. Imagine that. You give someone $100 and they say, hey, take this back. You guys now have $200 in your account to roll with. You do 50, right? You put in 50, they'll give you a free 50. You have $100 in your account. You guys can do that math. Go ahead and check it out. What I like is, yeah, you're getting this free square and the deposit match. They're also dropping a ton of boosts and a ton of discounts on their app on all sports lately. No one's doing it like Sleeper. I've been rocking with Sleeper for, like I've told you guys, over a couple of years now, and absolutely one of, if not my sole favorite, DFS player prop app out there. I love all the unique things they do. So if it's available in your state and you have not jumped on board yet, go give it a go, right? You got the OG deposit match offer, a free square to test it out, and you'll see for yourself that you will definitely enjoy it. It's super fun. So go check it out, guys. Link down in the description as well as the pinned comment. Let's jump back into these games here. All right, Pittsburgh taking on Philadelphia. This is should be a really good pitching matchup. We have the obvious Paul Skeens on the bump for Pittsburgh going up against Chris Sanchez here for the Phillies. Now, Sanchez has been very good. I would prefer him in Philadelphia, I will say that, but ultimately for what I think I'm kind of circling at here, I don't necessarily mind him. I like the first 3 under 1.5. Now, why am I going to the first 3? Because to even get a first 5 under and trusting these two good pitchers, you'd be getting a 3.5 number, right? So under 5 innings, 3.5. So 1.5 runs differential between the innings and the runs needed to push, right? Or that would cause a push. Whereas first 3, I kind of like the idea of getting plus money for the same differential. You'd be paying like minus 140 for the first 5 under. So yeah, it just comes down to one's a plus money, one's a non-plus money play, and it's kind of juiced, right? So I like that. Plus 115 over on Caesars right now for the first 3 under 1.5. Just hoping these guys go out there and do their job. It's not like Philadelphia's offense has been, cooking lately. Their last 4 games, 1-1, 4-1. Even in that 4-run game, I think they only scored, 1 or 2 runs in the first 3 innings themselves, right? That was a game that went over, but nonetheless, what I'm saying is that it's not like they were cooking. Their bigger inning came, I think, after that 3rd inning. The other games, no kidding, they did their job. And then you have Pittsburgh on the other end. Their offense kind of has been looking a little bit better, but even me saying it's looked a little bit better, they've won games, 2 of their last 4 games, with 2 runs scored and 3 runs scored. This is a team that is not a very good offense, and we know that. So Sanchez should be okay against them, and I'm thinking Paul Skeens can pitch against anybody, right? So yeah, first 3 under 1.5. It's kind of a shot. So I know I'm speaking about this like I'm uber confident and whatnot. It's a plus money play for a reason. 2 runs isn't that much. You get 2 guys on base, a single could take them home if they're in scoring position, that type of thing. So I understand that it's a very low number. I just like the value of the plus money side. If I were to pick a side here, I think I have to look at the Phillies in a bounce back spot. You're getting plus money for them. Skeens is obviously really, really good, and no one's saying he's not. Literally not a person on the planet. But have we seen the run support he's getting? Like, I don't really care that much. When push comes to shove, I do think the Phillies will be able to knock in the run that they need or anything like that. I believe we have some kind of messy weather in Pittsburgh as well. I have to look a little bit more into that, so I don't have that for sure confirmed right now, but that might just help our under anyway. So give me that under as well as a potential look there at the first 3, but or the potential look at the Phillies as well. But I do think that first 3 has a chance of being a final play. I think that's a little creative. Maybe I'm overthinking it, but I think it could be a genius play. You know what? Throw the black and white on. Fast forward to when it's like 100 to 99 after the first 3, and I called myself a genius. Yeah, that's probably exactly what's going to happen. I do believe we have a couple player props in this one that we're still kind of vetting out, but we do have some, what we call these, like preliminary plays, right? I like the idea of Sanchez over in walks, especially if this is going to be kind of a crappy weather and whatnot. Like, he's been walking a ton of guys. Even though he's been pretty good this year, he's averaging 2.17 walks per start. When on the road here, he's averaging 2.3, and he's hit this in 5 of 6 road starts. His last 2 road starts, 3 and 4. This is a Pittsburgh team that doesn't walk all that much, so maybe that's why we're getting this line and it's available, but still, it's a spot that I like. And then Kyle Schwarber, we're rarely taking overs, but I actually do like his over in this spot. Based on his pitch mix, he's going to see the fastball, he hits well. The slider, not so much, but then the splitter, the sinker, I think he could at least get a hit off Skeens, and if he doesn't, maybe in the bullpen. So those are 2. Usually we're in the unders market for player props, right? Those are 2 overs. One's kind of a fade, but an over that I do like. All right, next game up, we have Detroit taking on the Cubs here in this one. On the mound for Detroit, I want to say misplaced it here. It was Jack Flaherty, Cade Horton getting the start there for Chicago. Jack Flaherty, I would say, has the upper edge in terms of what we're seeing from a starter standpoint, especially at home. But the Cubs, I would put in the obvious category of the better offense, and I think we're seeing that, right? I know this Detroit team has a good offense. I'm really not trying to take away from them, but ultimately the Cubs are showing that they are the better ball club in a sense. They're averaging plenty more runs. I think in their last 3 games, they're averaging like 3 more runs than Detroit per game. Super small sample size, but still. We're going to get a lot of fastballs and sliders out of Flaherty. The knuckle curve on occasion too, right? The fastball I would worry about. The slider, not so much. The left-handed bats are what would worry me if I were Jack Flaherty. He kind of struggles against lefties compared to righties this year. I wouldn't even say struggles. I shouldn't have said that. But you have Tucker, PCA, like decent amount of lefties that could hurt you in this one. Michael Busch, I believe, a lefty as well, right? So, yeah, that's kind of a worry spot for me, but I do think that pitching matchup does give the Tigers a decent chance here, but I ultimately look at this and say, well, it's plus money on the Cubs side of things. That's probably the side we go to, right? Even though I think Jack Flaherty, could hold his own, when you need a run and, if you're late and you're down, it's like I would trust the Cubs offense over this Detroit one. So slight lean to the Cubs here in this one. If you're on Detroit today and you're trusting Flaherty, Flaherty's one of my guys, right? I like to back him all the time. If you're on that side, I really don't want to talk you off of it. I just can't get there myself. In terms of what we have from a total, I don't mind the idea of an over, though. What if Cade Horton goes out there and doesn't necessarily pitch all that incredibly, right? Like the dude has been looking good. I would say he might be due for some regression. Miami, Colorado, Washington, and the White Sox is who he's pitched against so far. Yes, Washington, like I said, could be a good offense. Miami could be as well, but Colorado and the White Sox are 2 teams that are layups again. So maybe Detroit does kind of get to him. So I'm going to lean towards the over. And honestly, with these bullpens, I would take the Tigers bullpen over the Cubs bullpen. But even still, if the better bullpen is the team going up against the better offense, I think we could see runs throughout this game. So Cubs and the over for me. All right, this is a tough one because you have Cleveland going up against Houston, and Cleveland's massive favorites. And what I'm a little perplexed about, and it is just a little perplexed, is the fact that we're going to see them against a lefty, right, in Brandon Walter. Now, it's not like Brandon Walter is all that great. He's got 1 start so far this year. He looked really good, but it was against Tampa Bay, and they couldn't really touch him. So we don't necessarily have the biggest sample sizes, right? But we've seen him in the past not look all that great. I think back to his brief bullpen stint with the Red Sox, which might have been his only major league, experience prior to. It's going to be kind of crappy, I think, in Cleveland here in terms of the weather, so we might not see a bunch of runs. Maybe that does help Houston, but that kind of explains why we're at 7.5. The thing that gives the Guardians probably the clear-cut advantage is Tanner Bybee in this spot, who I do think is kind of in a decent spot based on the pitch mix we should see from him. That cutter should be really good. The slider should be really good. Even the changeup against this Houston team, probably decent, right? So maybe that's why Cleveland is such heavy favorites, but I haven't even mentioned it, right? Kind of just alluded to it. Cleveland against lefties is really, really tough to back on, and they're going up against lefty today. So maybe, again, for the plus money, we look at this Houston team, but the age-old Ev thing that I've been telling you, and we get the comments like, Ev, why do you care so much about this? I don't like rolling with the idea that a team is going to sweep the other team. This would be a 3-game sweep in 2 competitive games here for Houston if they win. So, yeah, Houston for plus money is what I think. What keeps me off of it is the fact that starting pitching advantage on the Cleveland side of things, and this price means they're probably going to somewhat get to Walter. And there's no, and if they win this one, they don't get swept. So there's enough on there to keep me off of it, but I'm not paying minus 160 for this damn Cleveland team that has lost 4 of their last 5 games, lost 6 of their last 10. No way, Jose. Total wise, yeah, I guess I could be convinced of an under here, just given the fact that 1, that's where that line is. 2, we have this modeled for 7 runs, which, okay, good. And it's not like Houston's offense has been cruising, never mind the fact that they're on the road. So yeah, maybe an under. All right, Cincinnati taking on Arizona, and forewarning, yes, this may come off a little biased because my favorite pitcher, one of my favorite, my 1A/1B, him and Evaldi, Zach Gallen on the mound for the Diamondbacks. Going up against Brady Singer, who actually has made us a little bit of money this year, but ultimately, I think that Gallen has the advantage. He's been really good on the road this year, so I give him credit. Say what you want about the competition, whatever. Did go up against the Yankees, though, when they had the torpedo bats thing going on. Zach Gallen, .93 on the road here in terms of a whip, FIP of 3.6, average against of 168, strikeout rate jumps 8 points to 27%. He's going to throw a lot of fastballs. This is not a fastball hitting team in Cincinnati, which is so ironic because that's what they were for the beginning half of this, or beginning portion of this year and last year. On the other side, Brady Singer is going to throw a ton of sinkers. That's his main pitch, right? Arizona number 2 at hitting the sinker over the last 30 days in terms of runs above average per 100 sinkers thrown. Say that 10 times quick. So give me Arizona here on the money line. You're getting really decent odds. I think I just got him at minus 114. Yes, they played, the games yesterday, and I guess that could be kind of wonky, but Arizona lost both of those games. I expect them to kind of bounce back, at least with one win in this series here. So go get to Singer. I think they can still score off of this bullpen as well. They're the better offense in my opinion, so I'm going to lean towards an over as well because I don't necessarily think that this is going to be later half of the innings shut down for Arizona. I think that we could sweat this one out. I think Zach Allen gives them the advantage, though, early on. So if you like first 5 money line, don't mind that either. White Sox taking on the Royals. We split this one yesterday, right? We had the first 5 under. That came through. We also had the Royals on the NL, and they did not win that one. So kind of torn as to what direction I want to go in here. We have Mike Vasil, who doesn't have the most amount of sample size for us to go off of, especially as a starter, going up against Michael Lorenzen. Lorenzen has been awful, though, so it makes it a little bit tough. I would still say that Kansas City is the side that I'm looking at, but at that price tag at minus 144, it does worry me a little bit. But talk about the sweep situations here, right? You would say at the beginning of the year that it'd be tough for Chicago to sweep a team. And here they are, 7-2 game 1 wins, 4-1 game 2 win. Like, do we really think the Royals are going to get swept by them? The Royals aren't this like creme de la creme team, but they're an above 500 team, right? 33-32. Came into this series with a better record than that as well. So I know it's not all that analytical. I know it's not by the numbers, but I have to imagine Kansas City pulls at least one out. So as crazy as it is to use that as the reason to back them, it could be something we're looking at today. Kansas City on the money line. I just can't see Chicago sweeping them. But we did just see Colorado sweep someone, right? Which was pretty damn. What did they sweep? Did they sweep Miami? So I guess it is certainly possible. No one's really saying that it's not. But yeah, that's going to be what I look at. Kansas City money line. In terms of a total, your guess is as good as mine here. We could see Lorenzen pitch well against the White Sox. We could see him get hit up because he's not been all that great. I'd probably say team total over for the Royals before involving anything else. Minnesota taking on Toronto. We had a good look yesterday. Toronto got off to an early lead, and they tied the first 5, so we pushed our play. It was not a loss. We backed Gausman. I don't love backing Francis. Bowden Francis is on the mound today, going up against Joe Ryan, who I do believe is very, very good, and I think you guys should believe he's very good too, because there's not much out there that says that he's not, right? Especially when he's pitching at home. .79 whip so far this year, strikeout rate of nearly 35%, an average against of 173. He does throw a lot of fastballs, but Toronto's slightly in the top half of the league. They rank 14th against the fastball in terms of runs above average over the last 30 days. But Bowden Francis is going to throw a lot of fastballs, right? And this is a number 4 team against the fastball last 30 days. Now, I would say Minnesota did kind of go on their run in which they're cruising. That's going to skew things a little bit, but I don't mind the idea of, Joe Ryan here at home against this Blue Jays team. In terms of Joe Ryan against the Blue Jays in his career, and when I say Blue Jays, I do mean this current roster. So if guys played on different teams and went up against Joe Ryan, that's going to count. 66 plate appearances against, just a 3% walk rate compared to a 21.2% K rate. Expected batting average against of 248, expected WOBA against of 298, actual WOBA of 287. Those are decent enough, I think, for them to be able to win the first 5 today. So I would take a peek here at the Twins first 5 money line. They came back yesterday. They almost won the first 5. We were watching that one closely. And I do think that Bowden Francis could be in for, getting dinged up a little bit. So maybe even a play that we could take a peek at would be Bowden Francis here over maybe hits allowed. In fact, let's see if we can find what that is right now because we don't have it up. So Bowden Francis hits allowed 4.5. I don't really mind that spot at all. He should pitch a decent amount of innings. His outs right now, I don't think we have it actually, but he should pitch he hasn't been pitching decent games, but given the fact that, this bullpen is fairly taxed, I do think we could see some, hits out of this squad. So maybe that's a way that we pivot because it's pretty pricey to look at Minnesota. If we just say, okay, well, go out there and get your hits, guys, then yeah, maybe we're good to go. You know what I mean? So first 5 run line for Minnesota, and maybe a Bowden Francis look over hits allowed. Or I guess from a total perspective, Minnesota team total over, right? Especially if the bullpen's a little worrisome for Toronto. All right, St. Louis taking on the Dodgers. Looks like Michael McGreevy, 24-year-old, is going to be called up for his, I think he started last year, right? So his first start of the season for this squad. Going up against the Dodgers doesn't seem like it's going to be all that easy of a feat, though, right? Clayton Kershaw has not looked prime Clayton Kershaw, which makes sense. He's on the back half of that, right? But he's also gone up against the Mets 2 times so far this year. I think he went up against Arizona. No, I don't know if Arizona was this year, but it's within his last 5 starts when I was looking at it earlier. So maybe he's kind of got dealt a pretty crappy hand in a sense. St. Louis slightly worse against lefties as well. Kershaw's better on the road so far this year. For the money, right? Like, I don't see how we can not back LA, especially after 2 straight losses. Now going up against a AAA arm or somewhat of a AAA arm. Give me the Dodgers here in this spot. I don't mind the idea of their team total over either. If you don't like Clayton Kershaw, then you're probably looking at the total over anyways, because one, you'd be taking St. Louis if you do like them for the plus money. You'd be taking them with this, unproven arm on the mound, going up against the best offense in the league. That's a little worrisome. But why not just say, okay, well, yeah, maybe we don't want to back the Dodgers exclusively. Go for an over. St. Louis could hit Kershaw if he stinks, right? You have the bullpen that's been... Who knows what's going on with the LA with all the injuries, and they don't even have the most amount of arms in there. But then flip it over. It's like, well, what if the Dodgers put up 10 runs today? You didn't like them, but their offense decided to say, hey, here we are. Your over might be looking better. So if you like St. Louis, or if I liked St. Louis, I'd probably pivot to the over. I like the Dodgers. I think we're getting a decent look at it, so I'm just going to stick to that. But give me the Dodgers as well as the over in this one. I also don't mind the Dodgers to be able to go out there and score a lot of runs. So if you like their team total over, sure. They've scored 1 or fewer in 3 of their last 4 games. 1, 6, 0, 1 are their game logs in terms of runs scored. This is the Dodgers. How long can that last? All right, we can move through this one fairly quickly. Colorado taking on the Mets. On the mound for the Mets, looks like it's going to be, I believe we saw Tyler McGill going up against Chase Dollander, who I've said multiple times, and even at the beginning of the year, because watching this kid, you do kind of like him, right? Now it's the Mets. I don't necessarily want to sit here and think he's going to be, competing with them. I would say the Mets in some sort of money line parlay could be a nice throw-in piece. But in terms of a total, I'm not going to lie, I think this one could finish like 6-4 Mets, which would be under that total at 10, right? In terms of what we have this pegged at with the model, it's at 10.8, so yes, maybe slightly over, but it's not like this is crushing it. I think that Dollander can maybe hold his own, so I'd take like a 7-3, 6-4 type of a spot here where, he does his own thing and maybe the bullpen blows it. So yeah, maybe it's a first 5 under, I guess, if he goes out there and pitches well. But again, he's a young kid. He's going up against a Mets lineup that is pretty good in Colorado. That can be a little shaky. Athletics, Baltimore. I've tried to kind of get into and watch this series because we've seen a couple games where, it's competitive. I don't like either one of these squads. I really just can't seem to get there. Lopez on the mound going up against Sugano. Sugano has been... I honestly think Sugano's been pretty good. And yeah, some of his numbers might not look it, but I think this guy's going to give you 6 innings of 2-run baseball at worst, almost from this point moving forward. Obviously, he'll have blow-ups and whatnot, but against an Athletics lineup, I don't necessarily see that happening. This A's team only has 2 wins in their last 12 games or something like that. And Jacob Lopez has not exactly looked all that phenomenal. He went up against Toronto, 1 2/3 pitch, 7 earned runs on 2 home runs, didn't even have a strikeout in that one. So yeah, this is probably a spot in which I would say the Orioles get a win. The problem is you're still rolling with the Orioles, right? And I don't necessarily love that spot for them just in general, especially given the fact that they may have a day off, so that would impact it. If they don't have a day off, then yeah, I might walk away from this one. If they have a day off, which I can find really quickly, because they play back at home, I believe. Yeah, okay, so June 10th, they do have the day off. Yeah, they might just get out of Dodge here, win this series, and then head back home. I don't think that travel is going to impact them. Give me the Orioles. Total-wise, can you trust these offenses? Can you trust these pitchers? Maybe not so much, but I think Sugano's maybe the one thing that can hold a little bit of trust here. So I'll lean towards the Orioles as well as the under, but both these bullpens are scary. So I think it's just going to be Orioles or nothing for me in this one. This Orioles team, at least to some degree, they've started to hit a little bit, right? Whereas you can't say that about the Athletics, really. San Fran taking on the Braves here in this one. In terms of who we have on the mound, just lost it here. I believe it was Rupp versus Strider. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game, so I kind of immediately pivot to an under. Right now I have this one pegged at 7 runs scored. Strider, I do think, could be pretty effective here. Now, Since coming back, I wouldn't necessarily sit here and say that he's been the same Spencer Strider that we know and love, but he did have that one good outing against, I forget who it was, he didn't pitch deep into it, right? Coming off against Arizona, didn't look all that great, but Landon Rupp has been pitching really, really well, right? So now you have a pitcher that, and I got off the bandwagon. I was saying this kid has a lot of talent, a lot of potential. I like him. Then he stunk it up, and I'm like, never mind. I was wrong about him. And poof, now he's good again. If I just stayed true to my beliefs, I'd be looking like someone that could pick a prospect out of a lineup. Can't really take that claim anymore. But he has been very good. And I think Strider, like I said, could be in a good situation in this matchup. The fastball is a pitch that it's really tough for the Giants to hit. The slider is what concerns me. It's like the only pitch that they are absolutely crushing right now. In the top of their lineup, Flores, Ramos, Chapman, those guys are smacking sliders around. So we do have that kind of concern here with Strider on the mound, but he's got some phenomenal numbers against this Giants team. So I do think I'm going to trust either the under or just take it to these pitchers, whether it's, the first 5 under 4.5 or 4, whatever we can get it at. That's probably ultimately what I'm going to pivot to. I guess the good news is Strider on the road this year. He's had 3 road starts. 2 of them have gone under in the first 5, so yay, that's great. But Landon Rupp, 3 of the 4 at home have gone under for him as well. So I think this could be a decent little look, like I said, at a first 5 under, not knowing what comes from either bullpen or anything like that, but just the fact that, okay, well, we have Strider. This seems like it could be a nice little cushiony start for him. And then Landon Rupp, I'm tossing out there and trusting, right? We didn't really talk about him, but he's got that curveball. He's got the sinker. Both those pitches should be pretty damn good against this Brave squad. So, yeah, if I had to pick a side, I honestly would struggle to. I'd probably end up saying San Francisco because they're at home. But I think that first 5 under, like if we see a low-scoring game, that's kind of all I want to see. All right, Kirby on the mound for St. Louis, Seattle, going up against Tyler Anderson for the Angels. Kirby kind of returned to form, right, against Baltimore. 5 innings pitched, just 2 earned runs. He did walk one guy. I'm waiting for that 0 walk, 6-inning game that we know and love from Kirby. But I don't mind him in this spot. They actually have looked offensively competent so far in this series. The Angels have just looked better, right? The Mariners lose 5-4 and 8-6. I do think you have a pretty extreme starting pitching advantage here, especially if Kirby gets going. I almost want to be early to the Kirby train after coming back from injury than late, because this is one of the better pitchers in the league. He's just not being priced like it right now. 1, because the Mariners haven't looked all that great, and 2, he hasn't looked all that great. So I do think this is a nice spot for them to be able to at least plug out a win in this series. You have the Angels. They have a series that begins tomorrow, and Seattle has to go to Arizona. So hopefully this is kind of like, hey, let's just get through this quickly. Both teams are sleepwalking, and if that's the case, I like the idea of the team that's more hungry because they've lost 2 games so far in this series with the better pitcher on the mound. So yeah, Mariners, this would probably only be like a half unit, or even I don't even know, maybe less than a half unit type of a play, like a 0.33 unit, because yes, I'm trusting Kirby, but he hasn't given us any true reason to be trusted yet, right? And then secondarily, I would throw out the idea that, well, what if this Mariners offense just continues to not exactly light it up? So there's enough reason there for me to be like, all right, if we do roll with this Ev, let's at least do it in a smart, sort of conservative way. In terms of a total, I like a 4-3 game, but so I will lean under, fine, because I'm trusting Kirby, right? But would it shock anyone to go 4-4 and then someone has to score the 9th run in extras? That would still give me a reason to like the under because it's only a push, but I could see it totally getting there as well. This Red Sox team is back. Probably not, though. 10-7 win yesterday. Crochet didn't look all that, great, right? You know what I mean? I think he allowed 5 runs through, 6 innings. So, yeah, that's not all that tremendous. But he doesn't get the loss or anything like that, which is great because I am really rooting for the guy. Going up against the Red Sox, going up against Carlos Rodon today. They have Hunter Dobbins on the mound. What do you think? Look at the price. It makes sense. Yankees probably going to end up taking this one. They have the day off tomorrow. The Red Sox go and play Tampa Bay at home, which is an in-division rival type of thing. This is Yankees all the way. Their Red Sox are probably outmatched. They have a severe starting pitching disadvantage here. And then even from the bullpen perspective, you look at these 2 bullpens, and okay, both of them have had their ups and downs so far this year. But the Yankees, crazy as to say, Devin Williams is good to go. Leiter could pitch. Pretty much anyone in that bullpen could go another day, maybe outside of actually probably all of them, right? Whereas the Red Sox did use some arms, and even when they do use arms, do we really trust some of these guys? Like, I watch Red Sox every single night. I don't think that that's really a spot. So give me the Yankees, maybe their team total over. That's something that I can get behind as well. Right now, this total is down at 8. Now, that is most likely because you have Rodon on the mound, who's probably pulling those odds down. He's been really good. So I don't think we're going to get the easiest of odds. Yeah, you'd still need over 5 runs here from the Yankees. And you're getting minus 108 odds. That really isn't all that terrible. But what if Dobbins goes? Like, I don't know if we need to roll with that, especially with both these teams got a series upcoming, that type of thing. So, yeah, let's go Yankees team total over. That's probably the only thing. You'd have to get 5 runs, though. And maybe the Red Sox do get to Rodon, so I guess full game over. But ultimately, I think the Yankees get 5. The Red Sox probably score like 3 or 4. If I was a betting man, which I guess I am, which you know what? Probably not going to take it. I would still say Yankees team total over, though, but I feel like there's enough wonkiness that could happen. But, guys, it's going to wrap it up for today's show. Hope you guys did enjoy. If you did, go ahead. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button down below. Make sure you're getting those plays in the comments. Really do appreciate all the support as of late. Catch you guys in the next one, all right? Peace out.